as being the best school compared to Harvard, the best school, I'm sorry. I said the best school. Everybody in China takes the exam. That sounds horrible. You don't have the illusion that I'm good. Harvard is good, but again, we don't know. Are they good students? Some are good, some are not. Tell us about yourself. I mean, what does that mean? Come on, give me a break. Or like, recommendation letters. I mean, everybody says he's a good student, he's a good student. They start saying like, all this blah, 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 blah. When they have to do the thing, they pass out.
Welcome courses after students are graduate from Tongji University.
Graduate from the best school in the world.
Uh-huh.
So,
by far.
Yeah, what could they do, and what kind of
Suggestions
you will give? Anything you want to say to them?
Yeah, because the graduation, the speech that we said, a little bit exaggerated, of course, because it's a speech, right? You have to make the people very excited, and you tell the things that they want to hear, right? And there was a lot of parents, a lot of, girlfriends, boyfriends, they want to hear the good things about their own school, which is true. I mean, this is the best school for sure. I mean, at least from my experience, it was the best school that I've been from different points of view. I'm talking about the political side. We're talking about the ethical side. We're talking about the friendship side. We're talking about the depth and the freedom, much more than any school that I've been before. I mean, I say things probably that are not that good, sound like that good about Harvard, MIT. And I use this school because that's the schools that I've been. But, it's just it's a joke. I mean, at the end of the day, they're good schools, of course, and the students are good too. But here it's a different type. Let's say the students and the professors here are different. They're not better, they're not worse, they're just different. And that difference is very important because in America, it's the same kind of standard education system that produced the same type of students, but also professionals. And there is these high-level schools, which of course have the ability to produce good professionals and politicians or whatever. And then there's the middle school, then there's the low schools, right? There's like 3 levels, I would say. Or you can say like the public schools and the private schools. And the difference is, again, they all fall into the same sort of like ideological system. So here it's different. China is a very different type of, different animal when it comes to education. A lot of things that are being kind of dismissed in the West are very important here. For example, like an exam. Everybody in China takes an exam. That sounds horrible for many people, but it's called the Gaokao. But I think this is the most fair way to measure your intelligence against everybody in the world. If you don't take the exam and you just bypass it, you don't know if you're smart. You think you're smart at the moment that you pass it, but later on you wonder, am I smarter than the other one? But in China, you know exactly that I am that smart, or I am not. And that's good too, because you know that I'm not, so I can do something else, right? You don't have the illusion that I'm good because I think so. That's just a self-proclaimed title that you give to yourself. And that actually is not good because eventually you pay the price. But in China, you have this kind of like everybody's equal. Of course, a lot of preparation happens at the beginning when they're kids, they work hard, but eventually at some point you prove. And when you're good, you feel good about yourself because I did it against everybody in the world and everybody is here. So same thing happened in Greece. When I was a student, we had to go through the same exam all over Greece, the same exact. And we did. And I passed whatever and was like happy because and every time I saw my fellow students, I said like, oh, he is better than me. Or he is like less better. So I can actually measure the whole people based on this sort of like level of objectification. When you make it subjective, then you lose the whole point. That's a messed up situation. So the students that we have here are all past that exam, that testing, that benchmark, right? So they all have this sort of like, they are at the, we know who they are. We know how good they are. It's very important. So now when we teach and when we give grades, well, first of all, when we pass them, when they come here, they pass based on their objective grade. And then when they come here, they perform proportionally and analogically the same. You expect to see a good student to do good things, right? So that's a very good thing. So that's the thing that I was trying to point out as being the best school compared to Harvard. Harvard is good, but again, we don't know. Are they good students? Some are good, some are not. But you don't know because they never took the exam. So we don't have the ability to measure them on an objective metric system to say, yeah, this is good. They use these abstract considerations, assessments, such as tell us about yourself. I mean, what does that mean? Tell us about yourself, like a statement of purpose. Like, come on, give me a break. Or like, recommendation letters. I mean, everybody says he's a good student. He's a good student. 3 recommendation letters. Yeah, that's not objective. And then the grades. Okay, the grades could be okay, but still, we don't know because they're different schools they come from. They didn't take a universal exam. There's, there's SAT, but then not everybody takes them, and a lot of people just have ways to bypass that, and that produces some problems. So when you get the students in the class, there's some very talkative ones, people who think they're good, but they're not. They just think they're good. And because they're told they're good by the parents or by the people that they paid in their school, they start saying like, all this blah, 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 blah. When they have to do the thing, when objective information comes in, they pass out because they cannot do that, right? And the other ones that actually know the hardship of comparing yourself with others around you, and when the thing comes, their mind starts working, right? It just accelerates because they have been in that situation where they had to, for survival, they had to accelerate their mind. So this kind of thing is where the difference between the two schools that I said that, Harvard is not as good as here. I mean it in the sense that they are good, but not as good as here on the objective level. That's what I meant. And, I apologize if I hurt anybody or the feelings of some people, but that's the way it is. I'm sorry. I mean, again, I may be wrong, but, that's how I experienced it myself as a professor in various schools in the United States systems and, of course, in the Chinese system. Yeah, so that's basically the graduation talk. And again, it's all about the professors. Of course, the professors are very important too in a school because these are your colleagues, right? And your colleagues have to be people that you want to work with. And what I have experienced in schools outside is that there is a lot of competition, and which could be good, but it could be also bad. And there is also an imposition of ideology on certain things that you have to say or not say certain things, which doesn't happen in China. Against a lot of media misleading, there are certain things you don't say, which makes sense, but at the plurality, you can say whatever you want, you can criticize any much as you want. That's something that I felt, which I didn't have in America, which, you would think so, it's the other way around, but it's not. In my opinion, again, that's my experience. And then again, the colleagues that I have are friends. We don't have this political side that is destroying the American system. Here, it's more like leadership. There's a leader who runs the school, okay? I mentioned the name is Xin. These are the leaders. And they have the authority, or they would be called audacity, some places, but it's an authority to actually run the school. Okay, so we are following and complementing their process. It's a hierarchical system, more like not a flat, but it's a hierarchical system in which everybody's have their place in the system and they work together towards the leader, which is, we try to push him to go into that direction. So there's no politics in the sense. We don't have to fight to get somebody else's position, because we know where we stand inside the system. And when we have faculty meetings here, it is the most enjoyable thing. You just hear what they're talking about. It's more like show and tell. I was at Harvard. Faculty, or in UCLA, it's like people are fighting and almost like backstabbing one another inside they're like insulting people inside the faculty meetings. Like, what is that? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? Like, am I going to be like them? I'd rather not be in that kind of situation. So I was like, forget about this kind of this is not a place to be. And here, I'm happy to be. And that actually makes you more friendly with your other faculty. So I have friends, my faculty or my best friends are other professors in the school. I mean, I saw Filippo, and I said Yarmo, and I said Aldo, and I don't know, everybody that is here is my friend, foremost than my colleague, okay? And I never had any dispute with anybody ever, never into a fight. We had intellectual fights, of course, which is the whole point, especially with Filippo. We always disagree, but in a very constructive way. We always talk, and that is basically how it makes a school good. And when it comes to design, I mean, the students, as I said before, are very, very innovative because, again, they came from a very difficult system. So they come here and they come with ideas, which they developed during their life. And you see the results. Again, because it's a mixed school, we have Chinese students, but we also have foreign students. And we have Chinese faculty and foreigners. So there's a mix. And that mix is a diversity, which is different from the American diversity, where there's everybody from different things. It's like equal diversity. Here, there is a Chinese side, let's say east side and a west side. And that is more of a yin-yang complementary thing, because the Chinese is not really one Chinese person. It's a whole continent of people. So there's Chinese from the north, the south, the east, the west, from Shanghai. These are different people, different cultures. So it's basically a conglomerate of Chinese-looking people, okay? And then there's a conglomerate of European-looking people, okay? And that is a very strong, as I said, mix that produces a very good recipe for success. And that is another reason why I said that this is one of the best, not the best school, I'm sorry. I said the best school.